Welcome back to Bahrain and the drivers' press conference. And as you can see, it is Ferrari's turn, Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc. Welcome, gentlemen. Good evening. Good to see you both. Now, Sebastian, can we start with you? You were very complimentary about George Russell after the race in Mugello. Love to get your thoughts on him joining Mercedes this weekend.
Well, I'm excited for him. Obviously, you know, it's a shame that Lewis is not around, and I think he will be missed in many ways. But I think priority number one is his health and the people around him. But yeah, given the situation, I think it's very exciting news for George because he's getting to drive a very competitive car, so I'm sure he's very much looking forward to it.
Thank you. And Charles, your thoughts as well. You've raced George for a long time.
Yeah, well, as Seb said, first of all, I hope Lewis is okay and that he will recover quickly. But for George, it's an amazing opportunity. I know him since a lot of years. We were teammates with Alex and George back in 2011 in karting. And yeah, now he finally has the opportunity to race for a top team. I don't know for how long, whether it will be for 1 weekend or 2, but anyway. And I think he will show how much of a good driver he is this weekend. Of course, he has shown it before that, but now having the opportunity to be fighting further up with probably the best car out there is a great opportunity for him, and I hope he'll do well.
What do you think he's capable of in that car?
For me, a podium at least, but I have some hope of a win. I mean, it's very optimistic, but I know he's very good I mean, I know that he's very good, and yeah, I could bet on a win.
Thank you, Charles. Can we get a word on you two racing each other now? Seb, perhaps we could start with you. You were very vocal on the radio last weekend during the race after you and Charles had a near miss on track. I suppose that's how we describe it. Have you cleared the air? Can you just explain the situation to us?
Well, I think there was never really any air to be cleared, but you know, it was obviously one of those situations where it works out for one, but not for both. It did work out for one of us, but not for both of us. And yeah, I took care that we, you know, don't end the race in the first corner. And obviously, you know, it cost me a lot of ground. But I think we spoke about it afterwards. I think Charles understood what I mean, and that's it. There's not much else to say.
Charles, do you understand what Seb meant?
No.
Yes, I do. I mean, surely. Well, as Seb described it, I think it's exactly the way it is. I mean, I gained quite a lot at that start, but he lost quite a lot. And as a team, sometimes you need to look at those situations a bit in a different way. But yeah, that's the way it is.
Thank you. And staying with you, Charles, you're only 4 points away from 4th in the Drivers' Championship. If you were to finish 4th this year, would that be a greater achievement than the 4th place you achieved last year?
Yes. I mean, yeah. Last year we were in a very different situation. So yes, it will definitely be a much better season on my side compared to last year. But on the other hand, yeah, I try to not to think too much about it. I think it will be extremely difficult, especially for this weekend. That I don't think, well, I don't think it will fit very well our car, but we'll give our best. But I expect the 4th place in the championship difficult.
Thank you. Let's go to the video conference now, and we'll start with Alex Kalinauckas from Autosport, please.
Thank you, Tom. It's the same question to both drivers, please. Bit of a general one, but it is very nearly season review time. It's obviously been a very tough year for the team overall, but I was just wondering, is there any particular areas that you each feel you look back on and think, I could have done that better? Thank you.
Who would like to start?
Last lap in Turkey, first lap in Austria too. But yeah, I mean, you can always do things better, and I think with all the mistakes that I've done, I've learned from them. And if I look back at the year compared to when I looked back at 2019 at the end of the season, I'm a lot more satisfied with the job I've done this year. But surely you can always do better things and avoid those mistakes that I mentioned.
Thank you. And Sebastian, please.
Yeah, on my side, I think it has been a very different year. Obviously, different circumstances going in, and then I think different circumstances all year round with all the differences this year. I think it's been a very tough year. So I think it's not really the point of the question to go one by one. I think, more in general, probably had a bit of time to adapt to certain things, and I think. Where I am now, I'm in a happier place and looking forward to the last 2 races and then certainly next year.
Thank you. And staying with you, Seb, email question from Ronald Fording at motorsport.com. He says, we know you are a Michael Schumacher fan, so how special will it be for you to compete against his son in Formula One next year? And do you have any advice for Mick as a rookie?
Well, first of all, I still am a Michael fan. I'm happy to help where I can. Mick is a great guy, and obviously I have a very special connection to his father. It's a shame that Michael is not able to witness, Mick's progression in the last years and his step now into Formula One. So, from my side, I really like him. We get along well, and I'm happy to tell him everything that I know.
Thank you. Let's go back to the video conference and to Christian Menat, please, from Motorsport Magazine.
Thanks, Tom. Another question for Sebastian about Mick. Mick said last year that you are probably something for him that Michael was for you in the past. What do you think about that? How would you describe him? Is he a friend for you or something like a son or something? And what do you expect from him next season? Thank you.
Well, I'm flattered. Obviously, I watched his father winning a lot more races than he could have watched me win. But I think, as I said, I will be, happy to help. The way I look at him is, I see him as a person, and where I can help him in his life or on track with some of the things that I went through in my career, I'm happy to help. But I think it's very important for him to do his own. To do his own path, or find his own path and follow his own way. But surely I think it's, as much as it helped when Michael had some things to say when I asked and gave me advice, I'm trying to do the same to him.
Thank you. We'll go to Christian Nimmervoll next, please, from motorsport.com.
Thank you, Tom. Seb, are you worried that Mattia is back? No, just kidding. On a more serious note, I know the race didn't go so well last week, but the pace was there all weekend, basically. Do you feel that the podium at Istanbul has unlocked something that wasn't there before?
No, I think already before Istanbul there was, let's say, an upwards trend. But for reasons or the other, it probably didn't show. But I think I'm, as I said earlier, a bit in a better place now compared to probably beginning or mid-season. So. That's why I'm, just looking forward to do 2 races and do them well for all the people that worked with me in the past and the mechanics, the guys in the garage, the engineers at the back of the garage. I think those group of people at the track, but more so I think even the people in the factory. I think just trying to make it just and trying to get two more races in where hopefully we can show a little bit more of what we're capable of. It will be tricky and tough. This track is not probably our favorite, but we will see how many points we can score, but hopefully the maximum for the team.
Thank you, Sebastian. Charles, coming to you next. Email question from Ronald Fording at motorsport.com. He says, we heard your radio messages and how concerned you were after Romain Grosjean's crash on Sunday. Can you explain how difficult it was to jump back into the car after that and to focus on your race?
Well, somehow I was at the time where I saw the crash, I saw it in my right mirror. I was, I think, defending from Antonio Giovinazzi, who was on my left side, but I was also checking on the right side. And as soon as I checked, I saw the car going into the wall, and from that moment, I knew that it will be very serious. And then to see him jumping out of the car was just incredible. But anyway, after I knew that that Romain was fine, or seeing him walk at least out of the car was good to see. Then I just wanted to focus on my race again, because you need to be 100% focused on what you do once you are racing a Formula 1 car, and that's what I've done. So I just put myself in my zone again, trying to think at my things with the strategy, with what I wanted to target for the first laps, and I tried to forget those images that I had seen.
Thank you. We'll go back to the video conference now and to Dieter Renkin, please, from Racing Lines.
Thanks, Tom. Sebastian, last Sunday after the race, you were fairly vocal and also visibly upset about what had happened, particularly the fact that there were the constant replays. Have you subsequently been able to reflect on all this? Have Liberty contacted you? Have you had any answers, and do you still feel the same?
No, I think you need to be respectful of the fact that obviously the investigation will be very thorough, and it will take some time to probably get answers in general. So there's no rush on that and no disappointment. But I think it probably showed on Sunday that we are sitting at two different sides of the table. We are the ones driving the cars, and we are exposed to the risks and the limits and so on. And everyone who is watching, including you, including people on the screen and so on, sometimes criticize the fact that it's not dangerous enough, not exciting enough, and so on. But I think a certain risk will always be there. As much as we can take it away, it will be good, and it's good to see that there's a continuous effort being made, and these chances that we get with accidents taken seriously to try and improve. But yeah, obviously also a reminder of the fact that hopefully for the other side, that it's not just objects being in the car. It's human. We are human beings, and we put our lives on the line. But I think that's something we are happy to do because we have a great passion for what we do. But still, sometimes here and there, I think, I wish there would be a bit more respect. So showing the incidents over and over, I think, was probably not the way of doing that. For sure, everyone saw that Romain was fine, but still it doesn't change the fact, there are kids watching and so on, and I think it wasn't a nice thing to watch in general, if you imagine that actually there's a soul in that car who's trying and fighting to get out.
Thank you, Sebastian. Staying with you, email question from Leonard Wernker at Bild. He says, just 1 week after that crash of Romain Grosjean's, Formula One is trying out a new, exciting, high-speed track. What's your view on this idea? And would you have preferred to stay on the normal Bahrain track layout?
No, I don't think it changes anything in this regard. I don't think there's any connection to be made with Romain's accident last weekend. So it's good to see, obviously, that we had the red flag, and then immediately precautions were taken on that spot, and I think for this week as well around the track there were some more precautions taken, so that's the least you can do in that short of amount of time. But racing here, I think, doesn't expose us to anything extra just because the track layout is different.
Thank you. We've got time for one more, and we'll give it to Alex Kalinauckas, please, from Autosport.
Thanks, Tom. It's another question to Sebastian, please. Judging by your answers earlier on, it sounds like you're hopefully looking forward to leaving Ferrari on a high in the last couple of races. But I'm just wondering, have you been thinking much about your legacy at the team in terms of how you might be remembered there or the impressions that you made at the squad? Or is that something that you'll reflect back on after your career finishes? Thank you.
No, I don't know. I don't work like that. I'm not so worried about myself, and don't take myself so serious. So I don't know. I don't want to sound arrogant saying I don't care how I will be remembered, but I think the people who know me, that they will remember, and they will remember the good and also part of the bad, I guess. But I think I have no regrets. I think it was a privilege to drive for the team, to work with the people who have such a high level of passion for the brand and for their job. So I think it's always a privilege to work amongst very excited people, excited about what they do in their lives. And I've learned a lot. So I think coming out of Ferrari, I think I'm for sure further up than coming into Ferrari, and the results are only one measure, but I think in life there's more measures than just results. So the good thing is, I will miss those people, but the good thing is that I will not lose these people. They're still around, and I know how to get to them if I want to. So I've never worked on a color basis in this regard. So I think you put the people first, and that's why for me it's not that important, how I will be remembered. I think the key people that I have let into my head or in my heart, I think they know, so I don't think there's anything to state or to prove there.
Thanks to both of you. That's all we've got time for. Best of luck this weekend. Thank you. Welcome back to Bahrain and to the drivers' press conference. And as you can see, we have Max Verstappen and Alex Albon with us from Red Bull Racing. Welcome, guys. Good to see you. Max, why don't we start with you? Looking ahead to this weekend, no Lewis Hamilton, obviously. Do you think that gives you a better chance in this race?
Well, there is no Lewis, but there is Valtteri and George driving the fastest car in the field. So it will still be very tough and not easy, and especially with the layout we have. Lap times will be very close. Also with the guys behind us, from last week. So I don't expect it to be very easy out there.
But do you think this layout will change the pecking order?
It will only help the cars which have a lot of power. So I expect it to be a little bit more difficult for us.
More difficult than last weekend?
Yeah.
And thoughts on the outer circuit, does it remind you of anywhere else you've raced? Is it similar to the Norris Ring, for example? No.
I think it's definitely a bit of a standalone layout. It's quite sandy. It's not used a lot, that area. But it's a new challenge. It's different. So yeah, let's see what it gives us.
Thank you. And Alex, coming to you, let's start with getting your thoughts, if we may, on George Russell driving the Mercedes this weekend.
Yeah, good stuff. Excited for him. I think he'll push for everyone what he can do. Obviously, it's exciting for him to be in the young generation, I guess. And I have no doubt he's going to do a good job.
Have you had much contact with him this week?
Yeah. Just chatting about the situation and hearing it unfold, and kind of hearing him and just speaking to him about the whole thing.
Did he send you already a topless selfie in the Mercedes suit?
No, he didn't.
You didn't?
No, we don't have that kind of relationship.
Let me know if he does. Or he might post it on Instagram anyway.
Do you want the photo?
No, it's just what he does, so I'm waiting.
Yeah, I am as well, actually. Come on, George. We haven't seen it yet.
Send it.
How much do you relish the prospect of racing George? Because you're going to be in, maybe the same part of the track.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's one of them things where you're kind of rubbing your hands and thinking, oh, here we go. Just another car on track. So, no, I'm sure he's going to be quick. And that's about it, really.
Okay, thanks, guys. We'll go to the video conference now, and we'll start with Luke Smith from Autosport, please.
Thank you, Tom. Question for Max, kind of related to George's situation. You obviously went from what was a midfield team with Toro Rosso and was sort of catapulted into a front-running team with Red Bull back in 2016. How did you find that adjustment? Obviously, winning on debut suggests it went pretty well, but in terms of getting up to speed with the runnings of a top team, what kind of challenge does George have in store this weekend?
Just enjoy it, because that car will feel night and day different, and in a good way. That I had the same when I jumped in the Red Bull car. I mean, there was a lot to learn, but I drove out and I was like, oh my God, what a difference a car can make. You don't know before. So luckily there are not too many corners on the track. and a lot of straights, so it will be a bit easier to learn and get comfortable, I guess. But just, people are expecting a lot, but I think it's just get up to speed, don't think about the outside, just work with the team and enjoy. It's the best car on the grid to drive, so you better make the most of it.
Thank you. Max, staying with you, let's go to this email question from Erwin Yegi at motorsport.com. He asks, after your second place last weekend, you said you weren't happy with the strategy and that you would have preferred a more aggressive one. You've complained about Red Bull being too conservative in the past. Where do you think this conservative approach from the team comes from?
I think I just commented last weekend on that we were a bit conservative. So I can only really comment on that. But, we have analyzed it, and I think that's good. We'll see what we can do this weekend, see if we can do it better.
And be more aggressive?
If we have to. Every weekend is a bit different.
Okay, thank you. Alex, coming to you, this email question from Ronald Fording at motorsport.com. He asks, Helmut Marko said a decision on the second Red Bull seat will be made after the final race. Have the Red Bull bosses given you a clear idea of what you need to do in the remaining races to secure that seat?
Well, I've answered this before. It's more just about, doing a good job in results. There's not a clear, specific target. Just got to show signs of improvement, and obviously last 2 weekends have been going pretty well. So yeah, head down and we'll see how it goes.
Thank you. And can we go to the video question next from Matthias Brunner?
Matthias Brunner, Speedweek.com. Max, with the season ending in 10 days or so, would you give us a summary, please, of your personal performance this year? Which aspects please you? What could you have done differently? And also, what is your assessment on chassis and engine development? Thank you.
Overall, simply lovely, but it can always be a bit better. I mean, I think I'm the most critical towards myself all the time. But I think you shouldn't look at, let's say, race wins or amount of podiums, because that really depends on your car. But I think compared to the year before and the years before that, yeah, I think I did improve a bit, just in terms of consistency, which is good. Yeah, so I'm happy about that. Of course, we want to fight for the title as a team, so we'll try to work on that, and that's also for chassis and the engine side. So hopefully next year, we will be a little bit more competitive. So yeah, we can give Mercedes a harder time.
Thank you, Max. Let's go to Dieter Renkin next from Racing Lines.
Thank you, Tom. Question to both along the same lines. Obviously, Honda have said that they're going to upgrade for next year. Which areas in particular are required? Is it the IC side or is it the hybrid side? Where do you think the biggest shortfall lies, please?
Alex, why don't we start with you?
Well, it's a bit of both, really, I would say. Merck seemed to clip quite a little bit down the straights, but also quite good just purely down the straights as well. So, yeah, it's great to see Honda, pushing, developing through to the very end. Shows a lot of character, and yeah, hopefully we can have a good final season with them.
Thank you. And Max, similar to Alex?
Yeah, I mean, the engine is never good enough. Like, the chassis is never good enough. Like, your driving is never good enough. So you always have to improve every single year, every single race weekend. You want to try and improve, and that's what we have to do in every single area, because nothing is perfect.
Thank you. Let's go to Christian Nimmervoll, please, from motorsport.com.
Thank you, Tom. Max, you've been quoted as saying about Alex's performance last week that, quote, I don't think that if you're 30 or 40 seconds behind your teammate, that's very good. Do you feel like you want to add context to that quote, or do you stand by it? I
think you want me to add context to that. I don't need to add anything to that. I think as a team, as a driver, everyone of course always wants to perform at the highest level, which we always try to do. But I think it was more that at the time I felt also a bit sorry to Sergio, retiring from third and stuff like that. So that's it, and I think we should leave it there.
Thank you. Scott Mitchell from The Race next, please.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. It's a question for Max, and then if Alex has got anything to add, then great. Max, you mentioned earlier about sort of maybe expecting this layout to favour the teams or the cars that have got more power. Do you expect a similar sort of deficit that we saw at Monza? That was the last, I think, big deficit to Mercedes, or do you think you've closed the gap since then?
I really hope it's not going to be like Monza, but we have to wait and see. I mean, the track, of course, is a bit different compared to Monza. There are still, I think, a few kind of corners where you can make a bit more of a difference. Monza, you run really low downforce, so everyone runs very, very low downforce, so you just really lack on the straights. I think here there will be a bit of difference in terms of downforce levels. But yeah, let's hope and pray it's going to be better.
But Max, do you think, have Honda made progress since Monza?
There's not much you can do in terms of engine power, I think it's more about we have to just find the right compromise.
Alex, anything to add?
No, it's similar to what Max said. I think Monza as well, we were struggling a bit more with a bit of both chassis as well. So coming from last weekend, the car was pretty good. So I don't expect us to be like Monza now.
Okay, thank you. Let's go back to Dieter Renken, please, from Racing Lines.
Thank you, Tom. Cottoning on to the previous question about the 40-second deficit, what is it that each of you would like from your teammate, and are you actually getting what you require from that teammate? Obviously to both, please.
Alex, can we start with you, please?
No, I mean, I don't know what I want Max to do now. You do you, Max.
Yeah, I don't know why we need to continue asking stuff about that. Just have to focus on ourselves. I think that's the most important. Just try to always do the best we can, right? So.
Okay, thank you. Focusing on your battle with Valtteri, Max, you're 12 points behind him in the battle for second, largely brought about by your consistency, 6 second places this year. Do you think P2's gettable?
Maybe, but I don't know. Need quite a bit of luck for that as well. It's a bit of a shame, of course, that we retired 4 times, I think. Otherwise, P2 would have been quite easily there. But yeah, it is what it is.
Okay, thanks. And we've got time for one more question, and we'll give it to Luke Smith from Autosport, please.
Thank you, Tom. Max, you spoke about your father doing some car testing last week in the press conference. I remember last year that you mentioned that you two would like to do 24 Hours of Le Mans together in the future as a father and son team. Are you guys talking any more about that? Is there anything coming from all of Jos's recent testing?
It seems like I'm more excited about it than he is, being in the team together. So I don't know. I guess I have to push him a bit more for him to really want to do it. But I think that's just because he wants me to win. So he wants to do a good job himself, right? So if we do it, then of course we do it proper, and then we'll have to practice a bit more in whatever car we want to race in at the time. But I think at the moment it seems a bit far away.
All right, thanks, Max. Thanks, Alex. We'll leave it there. Best of luck this weekend. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.